Hi, everybody. So glad you could join me today, or if you're watching it on the replay, glad you're watching it now. Oh, one of my oopses. Remember, turn down the audio on your iPad. So I hope everybody's having a great April 1st. No jokes here today. No, nothing crazy going on here. I'm going to create these cards. The ones I'm going to create today are slightly different. So the package or the paper line I used, I've got the 6x6 paper pad from my favorite Easter from Echo Park. And I pretty much have used all of it. I've got maybe 3, maybe 4 6x6 sheets left, maybe 1 or 2 more than that. I'd have to go and actually count. Lots of little scraps. Probably I could get another 4 cards out of this, maybe another 8. I'm just bringing my tray in so you can kind of see. Yeah, well, maybe another 4. They wouldn't look like the ones I created, but I could probably get another 4 for sure, maybe another 8 out of what I got left. And I got another idea floating around in my head for what I can do with the leftover stuff there. So we'll talk about these guys in a second. I just want to show you the rest of the products I used. So I used the 6x6 paper pad. I don't have any of the solids left, so I had 1 sheet of each of the color of solids. And there's this green, I think it's got a blue on the back of it. There's this yellow that's sort of got this coral on the back of it. The blue, maybe it's the blue that's got the green on the back of it. Maybe it's, let's just see. So this pinky color, it's got the blue on the back of it. Got to go to my scraps. The coral's got the yellow on the back of it. And the last one is the green, and it's got sort of a salmon color on the back of it. So, okay, got that all out of the way. So I had 1 sheet of each of those to use. And then I had the frames and tags, and I used some of them. Didn't use them all, but I used some of them. I've got enough of the frames and tags left to do my other cards. Someplace I got volume going. See if that fixed it. And then I had the enamel dots, and these enamel dots, they're gorgeous colors. They actually measure up quite nicely to the solids. So I'm going to keep these out because I'm going to need those while I'm making cards. And the other thing I used, so remember, you can get all of what I'm showing you, even though it's just the packaging, at countrycraftcreations.com. It's My Favorite Easter by Echo Park. The 2 ink pads I used today to ink my edges, I used Seagrass, the archival ink, and Sky Blue, the archival ink. And you can find both of those at Country Craft Creations because Tammy brought in the complete collection of the archival inks from Ranger. And they are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I used those to ink my edges. And then I use these 2. Let's get them out of the packaging so they don't have a glare. I use these to cut, mat, and create dies that Tammy has also from Heartfelt Creation. And you can get these at countrycraftcreations.com. I use Cut, Mat, Create 1A and 1B. And if you guys haven't seen these dies yet, not sure if Sally has shared. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us today. I'm not sure if Sally has shared these. I think she might have, but I'm not 100% sure. I just want to let you know that these are amazing dies. You could cut out your photo mats with this big one and put them in your albums. Wouldn't it be nice to have a photo mat with all the rounded corners? Like, I really like this idea. Takes the, or even your photo, because, let me just see here. So this one measures 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And guess what? I am pretty sure that this one, so these two sets, so 1A and 1B work together. So let's just see what the big die is on here. It measures 6 by 4. So when you use these two together, what you end up is perfect layers for matting. You could do 2 layers of pattern paper and you just have enough peeking out. You could do the photo mat and then the photo. So remember, these are not just for card making. You can use them in your albums. And like I say, they match up. So let me get these in the bright. So the 3.5 by 5.5. Okay, I was measuring outside to outside. They're measuring inside to inside, which is fine. It is in the 1B set. So put them back where they're supposed to be. And then the one that measures 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. So disregard my earlier measurements. We'll go with what Heartfelt has on the back. That is in the 1A set. Let me just get rid of these guys. And so 1A, move these guys so I don't have such a clutter, which is always my standard. I'm going to put the 1A, no, you got to have it so you can see it. 1A is going to go like that, and 1B is going to go like this. And now I'm going to turn them over so you can see the rest of the dies. Check this out. You have a ton of layering pieces, and I do mean a ton. So like on this card, these layers were all created with the dies from this set. So in the case of this particular layer, this came out of the 1B. But then these layers also came out of 1B. I'm pretty sure, if you can hear that, that is my cat demanding more food. And she is just going to have to wait. She doesn't need more food right now. So there you go for those layers. And then this yellow piece that's in the back, I believe I used this die, yes, from the 1A set. And then, like I say, that's from the frames and tags. So all of my layering, so again, these layers and this layer, and this flourish is this little guy here. And it is absolutely perfect for stamps. And what I did on this particular flourish is I cut it out once in green. Then I went back and cut it out in a pattern paper. And I just cut off the flowers and put them down on top of the green flourish. And then on this one, I used this die over here from 1B and this die over here from 1A and layered those two together. And the same with this. This would be 1B. This would be 1B. The green layer would be 1A, and the coral layer would be from 1A. So if you, and these little flourishes here actually come from this particular die. And what I did is I just cut it off at the flower, and then I just tucked them in behind. So that's what we're going to create today. Hello, Miss Tammy and Lynn and Amy and Susan and Jerry, Diane and Pam. I hope I got everybody. If I forgot somebody, I apologize. So check these out if you haven't. They're a must-have. That's all I can say about them. There is another set that's called 2A and 2B. I only have 2B, I think, right now. And I'm going to get 2A. And there'll be a project coming where I'm using those in it. Even these ones, these bigger ones here, you could use them you could use all of these in your album. These flourishes would look so, so, so beautiful in an album. So probably you're going to be seeing them down the road from me. So I think I covered all the products I used today. I'm going to put these aside because I've already got my stuff all cut out. And as most of you know, I work in a very small craft area, so I can't afford a lot of clutter when I'm doing a live because you guys are going to see it. So I'm just going to move these guys, leave my cards here, move the inks out of the way. And I'm going to bring in a card base. So we'll talk about those. Let's start with this card, just so you guys know which card we're talking about. And making sure that I have it, that you can see it. There we go. So these are all A2 size cards, which if you follow me, you know that's kind of my standard go-to. Yes, Tammy, it is another die set that is going to be a go-to, just like the tag dies are a go-to. Yes, so this is my standard A2 size card, which measures 5.5 by 8.5, and on the 8.5 inch side, you score it 4.25. And then I didn't make this one exactly like my other one, just because I didn't have all of these pieces left by the time I got to this one. And so I thought, technically, you're going to get 8 cards out of this, or 8 different card ideas. They're going to be 2 of each design, but with different papers. So I hope that, hello, Julianne. I hope that will give you lots of ideas. So I'm just going to lay out some of my pieces. So these guys are 1 inch wide, and they are 3 inches long. And then this guy is 1 by 4 because it's going across just the card base or the card mat. And of course that's 4 by 5.25. And then, like I say, I talked about all of these guys. So there's that flourish. Once it's cut, isn't it gorgeous? With some frills in the center. You could have that as your in a card if you want it to, or even a little gem. These, where are they? These beautiful, I think these ones. So Tammy sells these in the store too. These beautiful little gems. These are the blue ones. And check this out. Lay it like so. And you could put that little gem in the center. And look at that. Just gives it a bit of bling. But I am just going to be using this in my card, so I'm not keeping it together. So that's the unfortunate part in today's design, is I'm not going to keep that particular flourish together. And then of course these come out of the mats I was showing you. So one is from 1A and one is from 1B. So like I say, you kind of want to get them both because they work together. And then of course this is out of the set. This was a tag out of the frames and tags, and I just wanted the eggs and the Happy Easter. So I cut it out of the tags, and I love how it turned out. Thanks, Julianne. I think they turned out, I'm not biased at all, but I think they turned out quite nicely. And of course, if you guys follow me, you always know that the the matte layer that's going to go right on my card base. I usually use score tape. And you could use a glue runner. You could use art glitter glue. I've just always done this with my mats. So, you know, some habits are hard to change. This one in particular. I just like my coverage. So did anybody do anything for April Fool's Day that maybe people are going, seriously, did you do that? You know, the April Fool's jokes. I don't do April Fool's jokes, so. And then let's crease our card or burnish our card base. And I'm going to round my corners on my card base using my corner rounder. And there's that. And then we're going to get my pokey tool. And like I say, remember, if you could, go to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And my YouTube channel is All Things Paper by Bonnie. So I'm just layering this. And it is 1/4 inch smaller than my card base. I often like to do that when I'm making cards. I just find that they just look nicer that way. So I'm going to use my Dries Clear Art Glitter Glue. And I'm going to layer up my 2 layering pieces. And give it a good burnish. Hello, Sharon. How are you today? We are making Easter cards using Echo Park's My Favorite Easter. Didn't want to do that. We'll clean that up in a second. And remember, you can buy this collection at countrycraftcreations.com. And if you've never shopped with Tammy, you have no idea the experience you're going to have. The shipping is quick. The customer service is amazing. She brings in so many collections. And then on top of it, she has her own, very own collections of paper that are to die for. Like I say, this one isn't. But just, you know, I saw this one and I went, I love this paper. It would make perfect Easter cards. If you do an Easter egg hunt, it would be the perfect Easter egg album. Sorry, the backing's coming off my score tape because, of course, it can when you're live. So that's when it decides to do it. I really didn't need to put 2, but it's partly because I didn't put it in the middle. So I'll fix that on the next one. And remember, Tammy also sells the score tape by the rolls, not the score tape, the foam tape by the rolls. So what I did is I put the one layer right down the middle of the card. And those of you that know me might know that sometimes I have some OCD. And so if I want to make sure it's kind of in the middle, and I'm not feeling I can eyeball it on a particular day, this is what I do. I just kind of line it up. when I think I'm happy, it might be a little high, but I'll work with that. Okay, and let's do these two smaller ones. And this time we'll do it with just running down the middle. Don't know why the backing has decided it doesn't usually do this. Probably because it started and now it can't. We'll fix it this way. I'm going to put it back where I normally keep it and just work with it over there. All right. So the trick here is I want to make sure that I keep these two pieces underneath this layering mat. And so what I'm going to do is I'm kind of just going to put them where I think I want them. And then I'm going to take my layering mat. Yes, that will be perfect. And put it on top. So it's what's nice with this particular paper, it does have the lines of the gingham check on it. So it's going to be easy to line it up. I should say too that I did go into my embossing folders and I had this embossing dot folder that seemed to just work quite nicely with this paper. So if you have embossing folders, check out what you've got because you might be quite pleasantly surprised. And you could use one of those. And if you haven't noticed or haven't been over at countrycraftcreations.com, Tammy has brought in some embossing folders. So you might find something there that you like. And so then our layering piece is going to go on top like so. And I am going to adhere this with some glue. Okay. I'm going to center this. I'm going to show you something about this layering piece. Something like that. Look at the bunnies. Can you guys see the bunnies on this? Aren't they to die for? They're just so cute. When I saw those, I went, oh my, that's adorable. See, I like subtle. So I'm going to move my water because it's kind of in the way of me cutting. I need one for the middle. Like so. And then it's going to go so remember, all these layering mats, I use the Cut and Create dies that Tammy has in the store from Heartfelt Creations, like so. And then I don't cut. If I had been careful, you could still almost use that flower if you wanted to. But I kind of cut off part of it, so that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're tucking one in here like so. And then the second one is going to go in here like so. And I'm making sure that I'm keeping some of the leaves hanging over. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue at the tail to start with, because that's what's going in under, like so. And then I'm going to come back and I'm just going to tuck just a couple spots where I want glue. Remember, this stuff dries clear, so that's kind of a nice thing. And then the same down here. I want it. I think I want to move that up just a touch. Yes, that's what I wanted. Just want it on my layering piece. Like so. Hello, Tina. How are you? So glad you could join us today. We're making Easter cards. And so there's one. Exactly the same layout, but so different. So go through the papers and kind of do what sings to you. And then, of course, I put a couple of enamel dots. So I'm going to do that for this one too. I'm actually going to use the yellow ones this time, and I'm going to put one. So you can put more glue on the back of these enamel dots, but just a touch. And I sort of did my dots sort of to balance out my flourishes. That was the whole point of doing that. Like I say, that again is your personal preference. And up here, there we go. Card complete. So there's one done. I am great today, Tina. It is a Friday. I am planning after I finish this live to do a bunch more crafting today. And yeah, just have a quiet crafting Friday. All right, so let's get on with our next card. So for this one, I used the bunny rabbit, and that came out of, in the 6x6, there are some 3x4 cut apart pages. Don't know if I've got one left. Let me just quickly, yeah, I actually do. So they look like this. And we always think, oh, we have to cut it out and use it exactly how it is. You don't. Because what I did is I took my die from the Cut Create Matte set. So for anybody that's just joining, we are featuring these two dies, the Cut Matte Create 1A and 1B with these cards. So I'll keep those handy so I can show them again. And all I did is I took the die, the smaller of those two layering dies, and cut out the bunny rabbit where I wanted them, and then layered it on top of just a piece of the pattern paper like so, and like so. So let's get this one started. Back and get a mat. And so this is kind of the, I call it a salmon. Don't know what else to call it. Thanks, Tina. Well, like I say, I hear this over and over and over from crafters. I'm not a card maker. And so I started looking at the cards that are created for us to get our inspiration from. And I started to think, I know why people are afraid to make cards. Because they look at these cards that have all these extravagant elements on it, and I'm not knocking that at all. Don't take it that I'm knocking anything here. But I go, for a beginning card maker or for somebody that just wants quick cards, they don't know where to start. And so that's what I tried to do when I started this card series. And I think I've been doing cards for Tammy now over a year for sure. And that's the big thing that I keep hearing. Your cards are nice and easy. We can recreate your cards, you know? And for those of you that know me well, know that I am a less is more. When I do an album, chances are it's not going to have a lot of lace on it and things like that. And it's all beautiful. I have a ton of lace that I never touch, which I need to do something about that. But we need to just get started. And what an easy way. You 6x6 paper pad, 3 sheets of the solids, the enamel dots, and some ephemera. And then dip into your stash. You could do that too. So that's really all I'm trying to encourage is, just like Sally says, go and forage through your stuff. You'd be surprised what you're going to find. And when you've got a collection where you've got the coordinating solids, Tammy has done some of that with her collections, it does help because it gives you those layering mats. If you're not sure about matching, I know Tanya has gone through and with the My Colors matched them up quite nicely to Tammy's paper lines, which that's a handy resource that's over at Scrapbookers. So there's our base down. So I'm just going to set it aside and we're going to layer up all of these layers using our art glitter glue. And I forgot to put the pin back in mine. I need to come up with an idea of how I can keep my glue turned upside down. I tried the sponge in a container, and all I found that was happening was I was knocking over the container. And any of you that follow me know that during a live, anything can happen in this house. So again, this is from those 3x4 cut aparts. And then I just sort of cut it down to what I wanted. And who says green and blue can't go together? I think it looks stunning together. And now let's do the other one. Now I'm going to show you something. I was a little lopsided when I was cutting this particular piece of gingham. But by the time I get my layering mat on top of it, you're not even going to see it that it's a little lopsided. So don't throw those things away. Hang on to them. And just a reminder, Tammy is going live. If Tammy's still there, I hope she'll correct me if I'm giving you guys the wrong time. I believe it's 5:30 Mountain Time. Tammy is going live to work on her album using Spring Awakening, I believe. Okay, so now we want to start putting, yes, okay. You know what? Yes, Jerry, I tried that. As a matter of fact, it's sitting right over here. I used an old prescription bottle. I even put some weights in the bottom of it. I put the sponges in there. I made the sponges wet, and I spent more time chasing it around my desk. And so I stopped using it. I need something that's heavy on the bottom, so there's got to be something out there that would work. I know I've seen there's supposed to be some kind of a tool, but I have not seen it in person. So I'm putting this layering mat about 1/4 of an inch, like trying to keep the distance, you know, 1/4 of an inch here, 1/4 of an inch on the paper. Oh, and I forgot to glue these guys together. So these two pieces, so the one is 3/4 of an inch by 4, and the other piece is 1/2 an inch by 4. And we're going to glue these together. So I'm finding this kind of interesting. So this cat of mine shouldn't have been able to get into this room because I had closed the door. But obviously, she's very talented and could. All right, so there's our layering piece. And I'm going to use the corner of my scoreboard again, and I'm kind of going to line it up. Just kind of guesstimating somewhat. It's going to go right about there. And I'm going to use some adhesive, some of this foam tape, and I'm using the thin foam tape. I may have cut too much, but it works much better when I keep it over in its little holding space and then cut it off. Just going to cut this end part off, and I will use that. I never throw any foam tape away because I'm always needing a little piece for this, because I do like to pop things up. It's going to go something like there. And you could measure if you wanted to. I'm choosing not to. I'm actually going to move it down just a bit. I'm going to start it sort of here at 6. And that will kind of let me. There we go. And now this one is going to get popped up too. Now remember, I don't want to put any foam tape where this strip goes across. So I'm just going to put my foam tape up here and down here. And that is the one joy of using foam tape, is you can cut the length you want. Yes, I like using dots, but in some ways the foam tape can be quicker. I do know some card makers that actually use scraps of paper to pop their stuff up with. It's going to go like that, give or take. Let's take this backing off. And again, I'm going to bring it down so I can kind of see it. And again, something like there. Hello, Peggy. You know what? It was Jerry. It was probably the person using it that was the issue. It probably had nothing to do with the idea. It was just the person using it. All right, so we want to put some enamel dots down here and up here. And I think I'm going to use the blue ones for sure. I'm hoping I have enough left. So I'm going to put, just going to set it sideways for a second. I'm going to use a blue one. And I want a yellow one. And I'm just going to guesstimate probably about. You don't push the glue dots or the enamel dots down right away. Gives you just that second that you can move them around, and a green one. About there. And then I'm going to repeat up here. Same order, because that's just what I have to do. You could use just clear ones. You could use stickles. Stickles would be nice. And Tammy does have stickles in the store now. So if you haven't checked out the stickles or the liquid pearl, could you use liquid pearl on these too? And one more. Like so. And there is card 2 completed, both of them. So different, but so the same. So let's move these 2 over. And then let's move on to card 3. And like I say, once you have your design, once you've decided on what pieces you're going to use, the assembly is the easy part. So let's get these guys out. And I can talk about, so here's this flourish again, only this time I'm just going to use it with the flower pattern on it. I'm not going to use it green because I have a lot of green going on in the card and I want it to pop. And instead of using, so on this one I used from the Frames and Tags, the big one, and then I just put enamel dot at the top and the bottom. For this one, I'm using this Happy Easter, which is a smaller tag, and it's going to be popped up onto this layering piece, which comes, that I cut with the Cut and Create mats. And here we're just having 2 layers. So the first layer for the base, of course, was that 4 by 5 1/4. Second layering layer is 3 3/4 by 5. So they're going to go on top of each other. And then, of course, these came out of the Cut Mat Create dies. So that's everything we're going to use. So push all this one side. Let's fold our card base because they're all the same and burnish it. Round those corners. My heavens, my desk is staying reasonably tidy today. I know I shouldn't say that too loudly. Like so. So let's start with what I like to do first, which is we're going to get smart and we're going to put our pin in our glue. So this is the other side of that salmon. It's the green. I won't be doing a live next Friday because I'm going away for the weekend. But if I can manage, I might try and do a live earlier next week or before Friday and just do a technique that I've had in my brain for a while. It's nothing new. Just got to see if I have enough time during the week. I know the people that I was so worried when I retired that would I have enough time? Would I have enough time to do, would I have enough stuff to keep my time, would I keep busy, basically? I am not lacking. I don't have enough hours. That's my big problem. I've got a lot of ideas, but it's finding the time. Okay, so we're going to put this on our card base. You can do it whichever way works best for you. And so I'm noticing that my card base is just off a little bit. It's not quite even. So I just need to give it a little burnishing score here. And I'm going to use the other side because it's going to make me feel better. So I'm off just a little bit. I don't even know if you guys can see how little it is. So I'm just going to turn my card over and use the other side of it because I haven't started to lay anything down yet when I noticed it. It wouldn't matter, wouldn't bother most people. Me, I'm going to see that like crazy. All right, so there's our base down. And then we're going to glue this piece. This is actually from the pattern paper. It's got these beautiful baskets on the back of it. Kind of felt bad using just the pink dots. But it was the pink dots that were singing to me. So I'm using the Dries Clear Art Glitter Glue. And if you're not aware, Tammy has it back in stock and it is shipping because the temperatures have warmed up enough to have it shipped. Okay. They are people without hobbies. That's right, Tina, they are. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we are using the eggs because on the back side it's this green plaid that we used in the other card. I'm turning it over like that. And for this one, I'm just going to cut this piece. And I'm laying them this way because I want to make sure that my card has enough that I don't have any cave-in spots is basically what I'm saying. And 2 more. All right, so one is going to go up near the top. And one is going to go down here near the bottom, like so. But before we do that, we're going to layer these 2 pieces up too. One. I'm going to give it a second one. And remember that little teeny tiny piece I cut earlier? It's going to go right there. Voila. I'm going to add this. And we're centering it. Like so. And then this little flourish, it's kind of going to just be tacked down with glue. So I'm going to give it a little glue here. Maybe there. You don't want it hiding any of those words. Something like that. So we just made our own little embellishment there. So let's add these. Remember, these were cut with the Cut Matte Create dies. One at the top. And one at the bottom. Like so, and then this guy is going to go like so. I just want to check that's exactly what I did. Yeah. So we are going to turn this guy over. And what we're going to do is we're going to add adhesive foam to the top and the bottom. And then in the center, I'm going to do 2 layers of foam tape. Layer 1 and layer 2. I just heard my husband come in the house, so hopefully he remembers that I'm doing a live. And we're just centering that. Like so. And I need to put an enamel dot right. I'm actually leaning towards this salmon one. So that's what it's going to be. Now, I am going to remove that little circle. Why? Because I'm afraid that down the road it might let go of the tape that's behind it. I don't want to lose. Probably have nothing to worry about. And there is card 3 done. Totally different, but very similar. And I'm going to dig into my stash here for a second. I want to put some bling on those flowers. So I got these really, really, really tiny. Can't even tell you where I got them from. I've had them for so long. So we're going to put one here. One here. And last one. They're really tricky to play with, but they are so worth it. And there we go. So there's card 3 finished. Get rid of these dots. So there is card 3. Now let's move on and do card 4. And card 4 is this little guy. And we're going to put the top on our glue. Oh, Alice, you're never late. Thank you, Alice. So glad you could join us today. Yes, please go back and you can watch it in the rerun, or you can re-watch it because it will stay recorded, which is the nice thing. Done with that, so we'll get that out of our way. So let's do some corner rounding. All right, so now for this card, I use a piece of it's yellow on the back and it's coral on the front, and I ran it through that embossing folder that I have in my stash. So we've got that piece. So we're going to add some dry adhesive to this guy. Now remember, if you're using dry adhesive for your backing of things, remember to burnish it. I think that's where the problems start with dry adhesive. People forget the very important part about you need to burnish it to make it do its thing. One. And see, we basically have put these cards together in less than an hour. So we're going to center it. Okay, and then we're going to start putting our layers down. So the first layer is this yellow that I cut out of the Cut Matte Create. And like I say, you want to get both of them because that's what allows you to layer these layers, if that makes sense how I'm saying it. So we're going to add the adhesive. I'm using the Dries Clear Art Glitter Glue. And we're just kind of going to center it, mostly in the center of the card, top to bottom, side to side. Now, because there's dots, you kind of gotta just, give it an extra second to bond. Okay, and then we're going to put this layer next. It's going right on top of the yellow, but it's going to be popped up. And these cards are not that thick, so they would go through as a regular card here in Canada. I'm assuming the weight point is probably similar. And the thickness of the card, like I'm not 100% sure of that. So you might want to keep that in mind if you're going to mail these cards, that it could be too thick if you use too many layers or use too much foam tape. But again, that is, I'm not really sure what the weight is. So I'm just, and again, I'm kind of using my dots that I have on here sort of as a gauge. So I have top and bottom. This time I'm going to put these guys. I did use these same two elements like so. So the trick here is on this bottom corner of this element, you only want one layer of foam tape. Up here at the top, you want 2 layers of foam tape. So that's what you got to kind of remember here. 1 layer in this corner, 2 layers in that corner. So I'm going to do this. It's my 1 layer. And then the other side, I need 2 layers. And sometimes what I do is before I even take the backing off, except where my fingers want to stick, is I will adhere the 2 layers together before I lay it down on the card. Again, that's a personal choice. Okay, let's remove these guys. And again, what I'm doing is I want to make sure I can see the yellow, something like there. And I did ink, like I say, with the yellow and with the green and the yellow ink that I showed you earlier. So on this guy, the single layer is up in this corner. And then down here in this corner, I'm going to put 2 layers of the tape. Second layer. It's going to go like that. Except I didn't take backing off of the one that's adhering to the eggs. Make sure it's straight. So now, if you feel that you need to put some adhesive under these parts, you can just go back now with a little bit. And you're going to double these guys up. I'm laying one down first. And I'm going to get my little tweezers. And then I'm going to stick the second piece in. Except we want to make sure. I'm going to do some surgery here on it. Just going to cut this part away. That's what I like my Teflon scissors for. Allows me to do stuff like that. And it doesn't stick to my scissors. And so, like I say, you could do the same up here if you felt the need to. I think it'll be fine. And then this guy is going to be sitting right like that. So I'm only going to put my adhesive in the top and bottom corners. So I just need a little piece for this. Here and here. Remove the backing. And add a little bit more to give it that height it needs. Like so. I'm just guesstimating. So this little tag came out of the frames and tags, and so did this guy. Now we want to put on some dots, and let's see what I got left, because that's going to determine what's going to go on this card. So I think we're going to do a blue one. And I believe our other one's going to be, I think it's going to be green. I don't really want to use the yellow because I've got yellow there. So there's our big guy. And I'm going to put our green one up here. Yes, had a hair on it, fuzzy. Like so. And then we're going to use the next size. Like I say, you could put some glue on the back of them. Yes, like that. And then we need one more, the smallest one. So remember, these enamel dots come in 3 sizes. And I love using them in the 3 sizes. Just think it adds to whatever you're creating. And a blue one. It's really not blue, it's more almost of a mauve. And then the smallest one. And I still have enough enamel dots here that I could, don't throw them away. Whatever you do, save them for another time, because you never know when you need an enamel dot. So there is card 4 completed. So let's just tidy things up a little bit, so that when I bring all the cards in, you can see them. So 2 cards, exactly the same layout, but completely different in look once you've got them finished. As soon as you emboss it, the background, it just gives another dimension to your card. So keep that in mind, to always go through your embossing folders. And if you need embossing folders, go check out what Tammy's just brought into the store. So there is card 1, or card 4, I guess, if I'm working backwards. Here is card 3. I'm not going to have enough room. Here is card 4. And there's our last 2. So technically, you've now got 8 cards if you follow all those designs. And like I say, remember, you cut those mats out with the cut mat create 1A and 1B. And just these layering mats, that's just 1/4 of an inch smaller than your A2 size card. These are 1 inch. This one was 3/4 and 1/2. So if you've got questions, please feel free. You know how to reach out to me. Make sure to go to this actual video in my YouTube channel and like. And if you're not subscribed, if you would subscribe, I would appreciate it immensely. So I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. And if I can sneak in one live next week before I go away, I definitely will. Otherwise, I will see you in a couple of weeks for another live. You guys have an amazing day and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.